Hello folks, and welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video. Yes, another Richard Head Longbows video. I know I said that I wasn't going to be making so many so frequently, although I've made quite a few recently, and that's because we are all stuck at home. You don't need me to explain why. In fact, the YouTube algorithm doesn't even like you saying the word because it demonetizes them and would take away from the increasingly small amount of money that I make from doing these videos. Anyway, that's the reason why I'm doing it, because other content providers that I subscribe to, and if you haven't subscribed to me, feel free to do so, are making content which frankly is helping me and everyone else get through what is, well, I don't have words to describe how weird this time is at the moment. So here I am, hopefully providing some sort of education for those of you who should be in school, and perhaps give you something to do and at least a project to work towards, or at the very least some light relief from the misery of the hours as they drag by while we're sat at home forced to watch television. So yeah, what am I getting up to? Well, I'm in the workshop, as you can probably see, and I'm behind my trusty bandsaw. Now this is one of the tools that you can use to help make medieval style arrows, and that's what I'm going to be doing, and because that's one of the commissions I've got, and I thought you'd show you how you can use one of these to help speed up the process. This is just a simple, it's actually the Burgess BK3, so it's quite an old one, and it's what they call sort of the hobby bandsaws, which are very affordable. They're available everywhere, second hand as well as new. I mean, they're quite cheap new anyway, so I'd probably advise you buy new, just simply because you get the guarantee warranty with it anyway. So yeah, let me just show you what it is that I use this for and what I've been up to. To make these arrows, I'm going to use some 3/8 diameter poplar shafts. They're about 33 inches long or something like that. Now, I've already made the marks, the pencil lines onto this shaft that I'm going to use as the guide to cut using the bandsaw. Let me show you those lines on there on the other camera here. So we've got the line here, so that actually goes with the grain. The other line here is going lengthways down the shaft, and this final line is how long, so that's where I'm going to stop. So these are actually going to be 1.5 inches, the horn strips that I put in. These are the horn strips. I've yet to cut them to size, so I've put some tape around there and some pencil lines so I can get those 1.5 inch lengths in there, and these lengths I've just halved it, so they're more than big enough size wise to go into those 3/8 shafts. So let's cut that horn up, because I'm going to need to do that first. Okay, so if I unwrap these, if I can get the tape off, oh there we are. So there we are, that should give us 3 strips. There we are. So let's cut the shaft now and fit this in. Let's see if that goes in. If not, I've got to take a bit more off. Yeah, it's a bit hard at the moment to go in, so let's take a bit more off. Try that again. Yeah, still not quite going in. It's a bit tight down the bottom here. Let's take a bit out now. Okay, there we go, that's gone in now. There we are, so that's ready to be glued in, so I'll do the rest of the ones that I need to do, and then we're ready to glue that in. Well, that's those all cut up and the horn put in. As you can see, all we've got to do is glue those in now. I usually use araldite, which is the quick setting variety, so that means usually I can get those in, and probably within, say, a few hours I can get them back onto the bandsaw and do the cutting of the actual knock slot and cutting off the excess of the horn. If you're not using something like the bandsaw and you're doing it by hand, and perhaps I don't know, you're not very good at doing it, or you've only just started doing them and you're finding you're getting gaps, and you can use the JB weld. The reason I mention this is simply because it comes out black, which obviously will fill in any gaps if you haven't done these very neatly. But as I say, using the bandsaw you do end up with quite a neat cut, so you shouldn't have any gaps. Just a little bit of a hint for you there if that's something that you're worried about or that you're trying to overcome. Anyway, let's mix up some of this araldite and get these glued in. Right, we got some of that in there. Let's stir this up. Don't forget, you've got to stir this quite well before you use it. I don't know what stuff that you use at home, what glue that you're using. I know not being able to get out necessarily to places that sell this, you might just have to use whatever it is you've got to hand. I am running out of araldite. That's about all I've got left, probably, I don't know, a quarter of a tube or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit stuck. I may have to try and order it. It's not something that Tesco's seem to sell, in my local Tesco's anyway. I live a bit out in the sticks, so getting to a store, large enough store at the moment that carries this sort of thing is going to be difficult, and I'm trying not to go out as much as I possibly can. I don't know how you guys are doing. Let me know in the comments. I really do hope that you're all doing okay and you're managing to stay at home and stay safe as much as possible. Right, I reckon that's stirred up enough. So here we are. So we've got our shaft there with the horn in. So carefully take that out and actually put it down the way that it went in, because when you're cutting this slot, hopefully you'll have done it so that it matches the size and shape of the piece of horn as well as you possibly can, so that you try and actually slot it back in the way that you actually originally cut the groove. Otherwise you may find if you put it in there, say that way round, it might be slightly thicker that end than that end, just because of the way that these are sawn. So it's always worth remembering. I tend to use a stick that's fairly thin so that I can actually get into the groove of the slot there and get some glue in. Make sure it goes right down to the bottom, so the full length of the slot there. Get rid of any excess. You don't need too much glue. We're going to be clamping this together anyway. I then tend to put a bit of glue actually onto the top end, because when you actually slot the horn down in, you'll find that it's removing quite a lot of the glue as you push that down. If you see what I mean, it's actually going to push away a lot of the glue as it travels down. So the top here, there may not be as much glue at the top. So putting a dab on there will mean that that at least gets rid of that problem. Make sure that's pushed in quite well. I'm using the stick just to save getting glue all over my fingers. You can use your hand or some gloves maybe, but you might want to save the gloves for going to the shops at the moment. I can't believe I'd ever start saying things like that. Anyway, there we are. So I've got rid of some of the excess, so that's on there. I'm going to do that to the rest of them, and then I'll show you putting that into the clamp so those can set. Right, that's all of them glued up, as you can see. Big gluey mess. Now we've got to clamp them together. Now, fortunately, on the end of this bench, I have actually got this vise here, this woodworking type one. So I'm going to get all these pointing the right direction, hopefully, and then slot them into here. It's not very easy, this on your own. You could do with another hand doing this if you're trying to do this many at once. There we go. And get those at least they're centrally on, so you're clamping the full length of the horn if possible. Okay, and tighten that up a bit so I've got them all the right way around. Just double check. That one's not quite right. Let's turn that one round a bit. No, that one's not going in. Hold on. Oh yeah, well, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. Ah, there we go. I make it look easy and professional at all times. See what I say about needing an extra pair of arms to do this. No, that one's not going in. That one's not right. That's got it. No, oh no, I've made that one turn round. No, yes, yes. Got it. There we are. They're all in there, nice and tight. There we are, lovely. Let's turn that round so you can see. So there you are, as you can see, they're all in there, all facing the correct way round. Obviously you'll want to check that, others you'll find they all come out all skew with. And that actually over there is a smaller vise which I've got, which you can fit two in if you haven't got a big sort of woodworking type bench clamp. That's actually with the JB weld, so that's the darker glue that I was talking about, as opposed to the sort of white opaque of the araldite. So as I say, if you haven't got that sort of size, then maybe you've got one like this, which again you can fit two in, like I did in the smaller one over there. In the olden days, I just used to use a G clamp. Obviously that's a bit wide at the moment, but obviously you can tighten that up and you can use that. Again, quite difficult to do because they tend to twist a little bit in there, so it takes a bit of getting used to. At a push, you could also use tape. If you tape around them tight enough, you can use tape. You may find that wastes a lot of tape though, and at a further push you can actually use elastic bands, but that will mean your fingers get quite mucky, and getting the tightness even around the shaft isn't always necessarily very easy. Or of course you could just use the force, yeah, just use your own sort of Jedi mind trick to bond the pieces of wood and horn together. Yeah, you can tell that I've been cooped up for some time here, going slightly mad at home. So I signed up to a 2-month Jedi course. The missus said that I ought to do a course. It was either that or listening to every single Enid Blyton novel on Amazon, Audible, Prime, or whatever it is, or do a 2-month Jedi mind course. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, join me tomorrow when those have been glued and we can do the next stage. If you'd like to subscribe, there's a subscribey thing there so you don't miss out on that next video and the next part of this video. And there's some more videos over there. You will watch again. You will watch again. These aren't the droids you're looking for.